species value nature system. This is proof of these are proofs of volume theory being true. For example, how there are 1,095 days in 3 years as value, as nature, and as nature's value simultaneously in demonstration of the identity of everything nature. English was revealed by ancients that were working together, valuing how we are a nature of volume, as individuals group and species nature of volume, as three gaining natures of volume. Sexes, ages, areas, physical culture are in demonstration of this, the culture of positive. But this is a science about the difference between pseudo temporary and lasting positive forced per equality of fact sheet nature to capable of demonstrating the difference of how logic is forced by the nature of volume to make positive out of negative distinctly as an individual identity nature, a volume, as a quality of diffusion, as criminal insidious nature, as positive. In other words, what's criminal, what's positive to suits and ties with each modern nation, the all victims, but all victims. In other words, there is a method that came from certain ancient times, had everyone valuing sciences now other than how it was before criminal foreign influences took over the nature of internation sciences. So it took away the nature of how people teach about the value of our species. It took about away the value of our course. For example, they say we don't negotiate with terrorism for good reasons, but that's tied to how the modern nations are already negotiating with terrorism unequally too, which is why we're supposed to value, for example, the first part of the Quran, the first part of the Old Testament. Never let free speech. We don't even have free speech. We have an identity theft racket roll that keeps other nations' unities. They pretend to divide and conquer because they, as what is their fact cheap in nature, faith, and what was left originally before modern nations was already entrenched. With the foundation of our modern nations, our founders' identities were stolen to extents. They used these are verbal fact cheap in nature crimes. And natures of them and roles with them, methods of them, motivations of them, all juxtaposed other natures, motivations involved with what motivated slavery. What motivates still hiding known crazy laws against everyone for speed, everyone, how everyone was a slave. That's because understanding that together is simultaneously valid. But the understanding it also shows how each modern nation is victim of this simultaneously, distinctly a victim, only invested, only having realized each states and areas on top of the value of individual nature of volume, which is supposed to be value first, with, with that revealed as what is hyper positive or negative per unities that are internation with our species nature of volume, now with tactically ulterior from this value progression perfect course. That's why there are 395 days while this is going to stay forever nature. So it's the value of the nature at the zero at the other side of 1,100. Two values as nature. You see, this is the difference between Earth. It is manifest in math, but the sciences share an identity. So we have them taken to what and integrity of conversation and sequence nature true in relationship to the tree of knowledge of good and evil and of the tree of life. Because this is where and how doctors, especially of mental health doctors, and interbranch originally instilled. This is how they were motivated per and a method that was already entrenched here. That, in other words, would sustained everyone to roles valuing pseudo positive criminal insidiousness nature, blaming the causes of it on other things other than themselves, because time, in other words, is taken tactically from all forever nature's course, each position of it, each identity of the ground. One thing that Jesus Christ would say, it's recorded, to simplify his message. For example, that being obfuscated by the stewards because we have staged areas are bridged our roles with grounds ties to the abridged surface values of the Constitution. So when individuals need to demonstrate we don't have religious rights, we have not free speech, offensively pretending other criminally courts still criminally foreign influence because nations are grouped and together sick the same way and invaluable nature systems that can only they can't even fathom how there are these ancient instant means that we can. This is what we do. We take, in other words, instantaneously all modern nations. We work for our species, nature, or volume. We understand how each position of the human fact sheet nature is a victim of what came from semi-ancient times. And what would, in other words, we can change a value nature system. This is a value nature system before, while being, and beyond the value of these markets positions, no matter where they go, good or bad. In other words, it's going to keep in relationship to nature. It's going to keep demonstrating negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, and demonstration of how the value of the edifice of the republic for which we stand since semi-ancient times, this revealed by the species working together as a value for it, for our nature of volume that fills. It doesn't go away, just goes from here, leads of IDs, or it stays as value here, like the rest of nature has no criminal foreign influences, has the complete identity of relationship to itself, inseparable from itself. Now we are hyper positive or hyper negative, individually grouped and together simultaneously to see this how it is the simultaneous nature, to discern it, how it is the everything nature, an identity, in other words, we're cells of its body in relationship to Earth's distinct and non-distinct relationship to the rest of space. It's distinct and non-distinct relationship to itself as what's going to cause the value of Earth more and more value to cause temporary positive that is also lasting positive onto itself or forcing it from here. See, but this is as a value nature system other. These are as orders of and as the value of the law individually grouped and together, natures of courts, identities of roles with it. See, this is what, in other words, real fast, this is what Jesus Christ would say. Every identity of value, individually grouped or all together, has an identity of relationship to itself, that the complete identity that is described by A on the side of it and W on the left side, on the right side of it. And this is why, for example, Arabic and English have a group value. See, we have already negotiated with terrorism exploiting how we have unequally forced natures of unity, where we have relationships to the value of the identity of the ground which is the value nature system, that each nation is a fact keeping nature needing to pretend to be positive at the same time as victim Oz. Positive has our fact keeping nature is a nature of volume. It is as the nature of volume, identity of relationship to itself. We have a complete identity that is simultaneously and unceasingly an increasingly valuable semi nature to discern this, and that the value of discerning that is its relationship to itself, which makes us more positive value nature here or more negative value nature here, as still positive onto it, but forced from here. Leave the 5Ds, which is what how you know what the difference between Earth's simultaneously inherent active and progressive relationship to the rest of space nature is, and our relationship to itself, positive or negative, through a value nature system that's going to continue to demonstrate negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, acts like predicate acts, natures like criminal insidiousness natures, like wrongdoers, like wrongdoing. These are organized crime terms. I'm not a lawyer, not police form, not criminal. See, we have offensive evidence reception predators. With faith is for this. I mean, forgiveness is for, so somewhere someone has free speech, permitted equality, and a nature capable of countering roles with criminal insidiousness nature, maintain blame, effectively maintain the real causes of it, maintain blame on other things others themselves, and that's maintain self-value, and that was maintained to maintain live progressions from all those positions. See, we have what was involved with the torture and the fact keeping nature slavery of our founders, which is the pathology of human infrastructure, the facades of businesses, agreements in relationship to that, agreements in relationship to all kinds of things like drugs that they're causing illnesses with purposely on people who have they're forging names. These are database rackets that are keeping. These are people in collusion with branches individually grouped in together. Really roles which are most furthering the overt criminal enterprises, all victim predators, because this is against each identity of correlation nature fitted to identities in this value nature system, where you can't defend those identities and stand correlation nature simultaneously inherent active and progressive means, with which is inherent to what is known actually. So when we have mandated law prevented since semi-ancient times, if you try to bring the quality of fact keeping nature to demonstrate loss of the value of the campus Marcius, the intercampus systems, they'll steal your identity. They're stealing everyone's identity anyway. Even if and related to how we have value nature systems tactically ulterior, everyone victim predators. But to describe how everyone's a victim, you have to describe how everyone's a predator with fact treatments. For example, with black, with even fake counters, even if they're believed, because everyone's not was methodically, consciously made and kept not capable, and kept invested to positions that they cannot defend themselves in, with fact treatment nature, with science, with the value of science, with the value of what is positive, with the value of sequence nature, which is revelations past, is gaining value. See, but we don't have that connect. We have a quality of fact treatment nature maintain this way per uses of time in relationship to position sciences. Excuse me, not by accident. Everyone tricked to believe that they could be separated. This is the nature of volume, that we are all a nature of volume, a volume as each identity, a complete identity of a cell, of a complete identity of an organ of a body, is simultaneously a semi nature to the complete nature of our body. So we could know this inherently, actively, and progressively. And also that a prior to what bonded earth is a nature of value of sequence nature of leverage. What is that bond is not while it was bigger than that bond as identity. Then while that bond it was its was is its a semi nature of its complete identity. So now it is discernible. Then and so it is discernibly greater than that too, from before it, while being it, and after it. And the value of that is gaining in relationship to itself, which is those three ranges. It is also more and more value, which we are as a quality of diffusion in relationship to its identity of value progression perfect. And see, Allah's name was revealed to teach this with the other names of God about the identity that is connected to all things at once. The way that's why we have an identity, complete identity, having all complete identities of the body being semi-nature to our complete identity. Then we have a complete identity that is simultaneously value with the sexes, with the ages, with the grouped area, grouped, you know, states, grouped nations, group physical culture. All this is a demonstration of real culture. Real culture is an identity of relationship to itself. I mean, complete culture. Everything is real culture, but this is it's real as positive that is negative. So there are two and three. There are semi natures. In other words, the 1,100 positions are 1,100 semi natures that we can organize each city, a nature of reliefs that we couldn't be afforded, and we could leverage the nature of volume that each leader is. These are qualities of fact treatment nature where they have agreements where there and here. In other words, that was everyone was taken as each age of fact treatment nature was child abuse, regardless of if they got money from it or what. This is what forgiveness is for, because this is a nature of crime that has to describe what everyone has a value because of our value of the identity of the ground has an inseparable tie to our invisible but still gaining nature of volume as the quality of our fact treatment nature, as the quality of our souls now through systems other. And then we're gonna have to deal with trickle down all the narratives through time that will overcome, because for words, shock and awe. See, this is playing the identities that think they're identities, modern nations. For example, with psychology, there with live progressions tied to those databases and their roles with courts, police forms, private, interbranch, originally still facilitated to roles with a method that originally still kept live progressions needed and maintained facilitated needs to hide roles with that. And this is what also maintains it originally and still valued, obfuscated, not understood, but through needs for everyone to fight to be able to hide their lies, their ability to and means to and needs to be fact-cheating knaves and liars, pretending they're truth tellers, formally and other in collusion, private and overt criminal enterprises in collusion, all that with everyone with areas. because the way they're maintaining it is per uses of each age of fact attribute nature. This is not even debatable that there was this organized crime method using human fact attribute nature left still entrenched. That was what was entrenched. What was tied to what people could say was tied to way more was tied to our how we are a slash the nature of volume in relationship to this identity of relationship to itself and to the value of that, which is what causes the fruits and gifts of evolution means to it, to gifts to our fact attribute nature, you know, reliefs that are instant that no one could bring about, they could just reveal. So we have 1,095 days. For example, these are like the five pillars of the Islam. This is my theory. For example, this is about the first. When with no criminal persuasions, value one at one, left to right with English, and right to left, one at 10, and three are the value numbers. And the identity of infinity is even bigger than it. Then being bigger than it, then being the bond to matter, then being the value progression from it, then being that sustained as quality of diffusion, being that um, accepted individually, grouped, and together as an extent as an extreme with a relationship to and as what causes positive or negative value nature progressions as an identity of relationship to itself as a quality of fact attribute nature forced to be in value nature systems to have a quality of fact attribute nature, but now we're in value nature systems tactically ulterior. They can't distinctly and non-distinctly. They can only everyone can only defend themselves by valuing a quality of fact attribute nature maintained self-valued as criminal insidious nature simply by valuing all victim predators. That's why this is why the predicate act is valued simultaneously with the predicate of English about distinct things, but simultaneously, non distinctly, and distinctly about the same things. Like, for example, a predicate is always identity's nature of volume, positive relationship to itself, inherently actively and progressively, per that identity before and filling this value. This is how one identity of value is self-generating. And this is again in relationship to Earth difference. So, as this science, knowing together our species nature longs and could be and should be, this is before